Today we're going to be going over an old friend of mine. We're going to be revisiting my Makoto V5 lightsaber. Yeah, I did a video on this way back then, about 4 or 5 years ago. It's been a long time. I still, to this day, get comments on that video. I get a lot of people reaching out to me about my Makoto, and there's still not a whole lot of videos or people talking about it online at all. Every time I get a comment on that video or somebody mentioning that video, I go back and I happen to rewatch it, and the video looks like it was shot with a potato, and it has the audio quality of absolute trash. And most disappointingly, that video, as much as I thought it looked great for at the time, I left all the lights on in the room that I filmed that in, and I left all the natural lighting thinking like, yeah, I'm going to achieve something here. I'm going to show off the brightness of the saber. However, looking back at that video, it just doesn't show anything. The video is just such a horrible video that it doesn't show the quality or the brightness or even what you get when you have a Makoto V5 lightsaber. And it's been a discussion recently. You know, the lightsaber community has blown up so gigantically and been, quite frankly, diluted with how many lightsaber builders and brands that are out there because of the power of TikTok and Twitter and Instagram and everyone who's doing their lightsaber twirling videos and collecting videos and cosplay videos. And I still think that the Makoto lightsabers deserve a proper modernized video. With the amount of people reaching back and asking questions about lightsabers and comparing them to many other different types of lightsabers, comparing them to what has released since then and what's the latest and greatest of lightsabers today, I figured it was due for a update and modernized and brand new video that really shows off what I didn't capture in that old video. So we're going to go it over again. I might rehash some of the same things that are in the original video. I'll get you up to speed. I have been a Star Wars fan since as long as I can remember. I've been collecting lightsabers for many, many, many years now. You know, back in the early days, the dark era, the dark ages of lightsaber collecting, there wasn't a whole lot out there other than, you know, Ultra Sabers and Saber Forge and Vader's Vault and those guys. Those guys were the kings of the crown here. I was always searching for the brightest lightsaber made, the most accurate real life lightsaber that it was ever possibly able to find, that the average person could just order and purchase. Back then, you know, even YouTube was pretty diluted with the amount of Ultra Sabers and Saber Forge and all the other guys, all the videos of that, but they all shared the same type of power, the same type of brightness. It wasn't until I discovered a couple videos of a group of guys who mentioned something called the Makoto lightsaber. And that's when I first heard about a Makoto lightsaber. I thought, oh, maybe that's a brand. Maybe that's a brand I never heard about before. Looking into it, I realized that Makoto is actually just one person. It's one guy named Makoto who builds lightsabers. And he builds them by hand in his own little apartment studio. And they are extremely one of a kind, and they're extremely valuable, and they're extremely pleasant to have in your collection because of the sheer brightness and power that they offer. I ended up stumbling upon one on eBay that was used. It was a Makoto V3, and the guy who was selling it was kind of a prick. I was messaging him about it. I was interested in purchasing it. I was asking more questions about the lightsaber, how's it power, how's it charge, any of the stuff that was not listed in the description of the eBay listing. I had many questions for, and he was, quite frankly, a prick. And he didn't want to talk to me. He didn't want to give me any of the information for it. And quite frankly, he was charging more money than how much it would cost to actually go to Makoto directly. And that didn't work out, unfortunately, and oh well. But I spent months and months and talking to many guys of the community on the lightsaber forums and the Star Wars forums and the collectors out there who know of the Makoto lightsaber. And quite frankly, it was a lot of legwork back then trying to get that information until I finally got the right guidance in the right direction by getting a hold of this private email and reaching out to Makoto himself, because he didn't offer a store where you can purchase with a PayPal and then purchase with a credit card and then, you know, have it sent to your house with an address. He actually works directly through email, one-on-one. He wants to talk to you before he builds you a Makoto. And quite frankly, it felt kind of, it was building a story on its own, kind of legendary, because it felt like a scene from Kill Bill trying to get a katana made. That was from an infamous katana maker and led to this work of legends and the works of just word of mouth. And it was really exciting. By the time I got a hold of Makoto, he was really, really nice guy. He was super genuine, super sweet about everything. He was very, very kind. I said, I'm a huge fan of his work. I'm very interested. I'm a lightsaber collector. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, as he is as well. And we became like kind of pen pals and talked to each other back and forth for quite some time. And he mentioned how he didn't build lightsabers anymore. He mentioned how he was going blind, unfortunately. He had really, really bad eyesight, and he just didn't have it in him anymore to build lightsabers. Talking back and forth, he actually decided, he goes, you know what, I'm going to build you a lightsaber, and I'm going to build you, and I told him the story about the V3 that I found on eBay, and the seller was really, really rude to me and kind of a prick. I said, it's kind of heartbroken, but I'm still hunting. I'm still thriving to own a Makoto lightsaber in my collection. By talking to him directly, he decided, you know what, I'm going to build you a lightsaber. Take a look at my inventory, take a look at my designs, and let me know what you think, and we can go from there. Maybe I can offer you something. And what he offered me was something called the Makoto V5, which I've never heard of before. Nobody was talking about before. The V5 was the latest and greatest of his designs. It's the brightest that he offered. The V3 alone was enough to be shown in the daylight. There's people on YouTube who have the V3 who are literally walking around in daylight with it ignited, and it looks fantastic, especially on film. And I was very excited when he mentioned the V5. I said, what's that? And he broke it down for me, how he builds it and what's different between that and the V3. There's quite a lot that's going to be different compared to the V3. But the more I looked into it, the more talking to him about it, I said, you know what, I'm 100% on board. I'm interested in this type of lightsaber. I want it to be both a Jedi and a Sith saber. And we just hashed it out back and forth and just talking about it. And then he got really excited. He goes, oh, this sounds really cool. Yes, I would love to build you one. I said, you know, I want a multicolor. I want to go back between green and red. Red, of course, being a Sith all the way. Green was always my Jedi color. I was always a green-bladed Jedi in my mind since I was a child. Calling back to Luke Skywalker in Return of the Jedi. My first toy lightsaber I ever had as a kid was a Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalker Kenner lightsaber. And I would sleep with that thing, for Christ's sake. I would have that thing. I'd bring it to school. I'd get in trouble with it all the time. So I wanted something that was a callback to that, of course. And he says, well, the V3 is not able to change color. However, I can make you a separate blade because the blade itself is what produces the color, not the saber. The saber just powers it, but the blade itself is the color of the bulbs, the color of everything, and the activation and so forth. I said, okay, so I'll take I want a V5 with two separate blades then, and we can go from there. And he offered me a price that was remarkably lower than I expected. It's way lower than the average pre-owned Makoto that was ever available on a forum or an eBay or anything like that. So I said, let's go for it, man. Let's dive into it. I would love one. Offered me the quote. I paid him. He says, okay, I'll get working on it right away. And this was going to be a monumental thing for myself in my own personal life because I thrived for a Makoto lightsaber for such a long time. And I have Makoto himself building me one. And once I got it in the mail, it was everything I wanted it to be. Once it came in the mail and I switched it on for the first time, I charged it up, and it was just mind-blowingly well made and just incredibly bright and so realistic, keeping to the naked eye. I'm still to this day, 4 or 5 years later since I've made that video, so many sabers and so many companies have came out. And now we have such a prime era of lightsaber builders and collectors. We have things now that are just so far beyond the technology how it was even 4 years ago. Now we have NeoPixel and Xenopixel sabers that are MP3 players, the Flashlight class, the blade effects that you can have in sabers now is just astonishingly well, incredibly made. And the minds that you can put behind owning a lightsaber now with 30-something sound fonts of different characters and different blade effects and all the colors of the palette that you can ever ask for. Not to mention blaster bolt deflection effects, scene reenactments. It is mind-numbing how far we've came in the matter of 4 years since I put out that video. And my collection of lightsabers has grown dramatically since those 4 years since I put out that video. And I hate to say it, but my Makoto V5 is still the best lightsaber that I own. I'm going to break it down why. First of all, let's go over the negatives first. which is not normally what people want to do when they do videos like this, but I'm going to go over the negatives first because of a good reason. First negative is the sound. The sound is god awful. There's no smooth swing. Nothing. It's about as equivalent as a toy from Toys R Us in the 90s. This is the same type of sound effect activated swinging around that you can have from any Walmart toy that you can get today. And the sound is just, it's just terrible. It's so loud too inside here. Like I mentioned in my last video, I shoved cloth, really thick cloth down in there between the battery speaker and the edge of the Saber just to dumb it down, and it's still so painfully loud. So, now that the negative of the soundboard is out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and mute it. And how I mute it, right here in the center of the hilt is a little screw, which I'm going to use my little tool. Now it's muted, thank God. And that's the reason why I want to cut out the negatives right away. But it is still so incredibly bright. This is the only lightsaber that I know when I look directly at the blade, it hurts the eyes. It stings. And there is an aura around the blade of the color. It may not appear well in the film right here. However, it is just so incredibly pleasing. It's exactly how it looks in the film. And that's another thing to take in as well. When you do lightsaber videos on YouTube or on Instagram or anywhere you go, everything looks different on camera. Everything looks different on camera versus how it looks in real life to the naked eye. So keep that in mind. What I see in person is actually not that far from what you see on camera here. But you still see the film that's inside the blade when you stare long enough. But however, if you move it around a lot, if you're doing a lot of twirling and whatever you want to do with lightsabers these days, it looks exactly as it does in the films. And even just by holding it around here, my backdrop here is being lit up dramatically, which you cannot accomplish, unfortunately, with a NeoPixel or a Xenopixel lightsaber. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn this off here. I'm going to switch it over to the red blade, and now my eyes are all kinds of goofy, and now my camera lens is focusing like crazy, I'm sure, and now I look completely different on camera. And to change out the blade, you know, the benefit of the lightsabers that we have today is just a flick of the wrist or a hit of a button. The Makoto, not so much. There's 2 tension screws in the saber. There's one in the belly here, which I'm going to loosen, and I put a second one on the top here. And just like that, I'm going to unplug the blade, and at the tip of the lightsaber blade here, I don't think it's going to come up on camera. It's sort of like the female end of a microphone. That's the best way I can put it, really. There's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 8 prongs. It's an 8-prong connector there. Literally looks like a piece of audio equipment. And inside the Makoto lightsaber itself is the male end that's deep down in there. Now I'm going to switch over to the red blade, and it just simply lines up with markings, and it plugs in there. And while I'm holding it in, I'm going to tighten the tension screws, just like as you would of a stunt saber, of a baselit saber. Even the NeoPixel sabers are built this way. Now that my red blade is in, beautiful. And just the amount of light that's bouncing off the blade and into my body is truly astonishing. And this is just a dream to have, especially for photo shoots and for conventions. I recently have used this as a red blade. I just did a photo shoot as Darth Vader. And I've been doing a lot of Vader stuff lately, which I'm planning on doing a video about my Vader just after this video here. I brought this with me when I did a daylight photo shoot. I did a photo shoot in an airplane hangar, and with the doors open in the middle of the day, in the middle of the hot Florida heat and the blue skies, and this lightsaber was just as bright as it is that you see right now in the daylight shoot. Even just by holding it right now, my camera now has defocused all around me, what's behind me, what's around me. It's now just focusing on the lightsaber and what's bouncing off of my body. When I shut it off, Now my camera's going to focus as if it does normally. And now everything looks green to me because of the amount of red that's been shoved in my face like that. But this is truly remarkable, even to this day, 5-6 years later since I've owned this thing. This is still the brightest lightsaber I've ever seen in my years of going to conventions and Star Wars events and cosplayers and the whole 9 yards. And even the red blade, the aura that's around the blade, that's just bouncing off. It's like comic bookish. It's kind of like cartoonish, but it's so well done. It may not be appearing in camera right now, but trust me, it's there to the naked eye, and it's just so pleasing to have. I mean, this is just everything I've ever wanted since I was a kid is right here. I hold it behind me, my backlash, my backdrop now is being completely lit up, and I'm a couple feet from it now. But it's truly remarkable. I mean, this thing is just it's a work of art. I can't shut up about it. But I mean, even if you did your twirls and stuff, I'm not very good at those at all. Everybody who does lightsaber videos does all these flips and twirls with them, but I have no idea, honest to God, how to do any of that stuff. So I'm not going to bother to even try. But it's just really pleasing to have. And another great thing about these lightsabers is that even today the NeoPixel and XenoPixel stuff, it's so great, it's so fun to play with because of the effects, the amount of things that you can customize with it, and the blaster bolt deflection, stuff like that. The battery life on those things are god awful. My NeoPixel, battery life is maybe 2 hours before it's completely dead, starting with a full charge. This thing, I have owned this thing now for 6 years. I've charged it 3 times. 3 times. That's it. And that says a lot. That says a lot if you want to compare qualities here. Now, does it have flash on clash? No, it does not. Does it have effects with blaster deflects and blaster? No, it doesn't. Does it have flame or rainbow or lightning or the Kylo Ren effect? No, it does not. It does not have any of those features. It has nothing compared to the features that you get from a NeoPixel. What it does have is the sheer brightness of this thing. I'm going to switch it off again. Now the amount of focus and color, even not just to my eyes, but my camera is catching up now, is pretty dramatic. I'm going to go ahead and take the blade off. There it goes. And that's it. The blade itself is very, very strong, very, very lightweight. It's pretty cool how the color is solely just the blade. And in my opinion, this is as equivalent as what you would get from what they use on the set of the latest Star Wars TV shows and movies. It's basically a light this bright, like a stunt saber. And this is what they use for all those captures and all that filming. It's pretty remarkable when you see this thing in person. And this thing is just, I mean, it's a work of art. As I went over my original video, I did a few modifications for it visually. I added the leather strap in the middle here. I sunk down the emitter a little bit to give it some more character. I dirtied it up. I gave it some paint and some dirt. Gave it some character, that Old Republic looking type of style. I love this thing, man. I'm going to have this thing forever and ever. I had some rubber gaskets across it to give it some more character, some more grip. My hands are gigantic, so it's not really a two-hander for me. It's more of a one-hander. And this thing is just so great. Even the pommel here of the speaker box is the shape of the rebellion symbol. The amount of work that Makoto puts into these things is remarkable. To me, it's like a museum piece. I don't know. As a Star Wars collector, as a Star Wars fan, this is my lightsaber. I still say it to this day. Everyone has their lightsaber that's not based off a character or any type of style. And this is mine. If I was a character in the universe, if I was a character in a film or a TV show, this would be the one that I would be holding. And now, of course, even over the years, I've posted many videos and pictures of my Makoto in the lightsaber collectors Facebook groups and forums, and I've always liked to praise and like to bring it up because it's not often that you hear about Makoto. And I feel like people should be hearing more about Makoto because it's like this crown jewel, this hidden gem in the community that's kept secret almost. Those who know about the Makoto lightsabers, they don't really talk about them. But I praise them. I think they're fantastic. I think they're incredible. Everyone I've ever, I've posted pictures and videos of this thing in action, and people will still argue, well, no, that's just as bright as a neopixel. That's just as powerful as a neopixel or a xenopixel. And as an owner of both, I can guarantee you this is more powerful and brighter. And I have video proof, which I'm going to show you right now. And just for the hell of it, baselit sabers. Baselit lightsabers is everything. Hollowed blades, so people can fence with them, they can duel with them, they can twirl them around and not be afraid of breaking them. That's the most popular style lightsaber in the market. Every major brand makes their baselit sabers. I love the latest and greatest, and the king of the hill when it comes to baselit sabers especially is going to be Crimson Dawn. Crimson Dawn lightsabers is doing stuff that is remarkable. And those things, you can hammer a nail with them all day long, and they're going to switch on. Those blades, even, people have hacked into concrete walls and stone fences, and the blades have been perfectly fine. They are the go-to lightsabers for fencing and for stunt work and for filming and all kinds of stuff, and especially for collectors because of how well made that they are. They're incredibly visually pleasing. There's no direct competition when it comes to baselit sabers versus a neopixel or a Makoto. But for the hell of it, here's your difference. And that's truly, from there, then you have, Galaxy's Edge sabers and toy sabers, which I'm not going to bother to completely show the comparison to because there is no comparison. It's a toy versus a adult toy. I should not use that term at all. A grown-ups collecting device. But no, this thing is truly remarkable, and I'm also very, 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 very happy to say and to pass the message that when Makoto built this for me 6 years ago, I heard then that he was going to stop making lightsabers. I heard then that he was going to retire and his eyesight was so bad and he wasn't going to build lightsabers anymore. Today, this is May of 2025, he is still building lightsabers. Yes, he is. You can purchase and order a Makoto lightsaber directly from Makoto himself. Now it's way easier. Now it's so much more simpler and easier just from a simple Google search. And I'm so happy to see him. He still makes lightsabers today, and he's so active in the community today, more so than ever. He live streams on Instagram all the time. He's always doing something. He's always showing off a new lightsaber that he's put together. Now he does conversions. He'll convert a store-bought Galaxy's Edge replica character saber or Force Effects saber, and he will convert them into his technology for the Makoto brightness and the Makoto blade. And it's truly great to see him in action. It's so awesome to see him to keep going. But yeah, I just want to come on here and talk more about my Makoto and do a rehash, a revamping, a remake, whatever you want to call it, type of video revisiting my Makoto V5, because this thing is, out of all the lightsabers that I still collect to this day, NeoPixel, Xenopixel, baselit sabers, all these amount of lightsabers that you can get today in the community that's so outrageously blown up everywhere, it's still coming back down to my Makoto V5. It's still coming back down to this is my favorite lightsaber. This is the best lightsaber that you can purchase and own in anyone's collection. Not to mention that it is not a manufactured, company-owned, it's not this extremely corporated, manufactured lightsaber. These are handmade by Makoto himself. To me, it gives it that awesome nostalgia. It gives them that story. There's a story in this lightsaber, but that's what makes these so great. It's comparable to, it's like the movie Kill Bill when she goes overseas just to get a katana made. I look like a horrible fan right now because I'm drawing a blank from the names of those characters, but you know what I'm talking about. It has that feel to it. And speaking of feel, you know, I own some incredible lightsabers that I love every single one of them. There's not a single one that I own that I dislike. And why is it that we do this? Why is it that we collect lightsabers? Why do we do these things, such as collecting lightsabers and being a Star Wars fan in their 30s and 40s, or even all the way up to their 90s now? Why do we dress up as our favorite characters? Why do we collect so many toys? Why do we do all these things? Why do we hunt and investigate and make videos about my story, about this silly little piece of metal that lights up? Why do we go this far with it? Because of one reason only. Not just being a Star Wars fan, but we are also rekindling, we're reestablishing our childhood. When I take this thing out and I play around with it and I switch it on, even I'm just sitting at home with it, I get those same colorful feelings when I was a kid. I get the same feeling from this thing of when I was 8 years old, first time I watched Return of the Jedi, seeing Luke Skywalker. I get those feelings revamped in me, and there's certain things in life that can only do that. And this is it. It's the same thing why people collect cars and people collect old coins and maps. There's a reason why people fall into hobbies like this. But that's mine, and this is the one lightsaber that I own that rekindles that, and I'm so grateful for it. I don't know, this thing is just every aspect of this lightsaber is just incredible. That's all I really have to share with you right now. This is an update video. This is a rehashing video, revisiting my Makoto V5. Hopefully I've shown off quite more of it since my original video. That was absolutely god-awful. But thank you so very much for watching. Thank you so very much for tuning in and checking in with me. Like, subscribe, all that jazz.